We're back to the Neil Haley Show, and my guest today is Amazon best-selling author J. Len Sciuto, and he's going to talk today. Again, he's the author of Hades, Crypt, and many other books. But today he's going to talk about the holidays and veterans. Len, thanks for stopping by, and let's kind of. Is this a hard time? Let's just talk about when you're in the military, and then after you're out of the military. Veterans and military when it's the holidays.
Well, first of all, Neil, good morning, and good morning to everyone listening in. It's a little nippy down here in Florida. Florida. I don't know how nippy it is where you folks are, but it's kind of chilly here. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the military and the holidays. When I initially was called to active duty, I was in a submarine, and of those years that I was in the boat on that boat, I only got home once for Christmas, and two of those years I was deployed. So the crew and on that submarine, the crew went anywhere from 68 men to 78 men, and there were no Christmas cards unless they came before we deployed, and there weren't any Christmas presents. And what we did on the boat was they made a special meal. The Christmas menu was out, and if we were running on the surface in friendly waters or even submerged in friendly waters, we at least had Christmas music. And one of the things that the enlisted people used to do, because at the time I was an enlisted guy, I can't tell you what went on in the wardroom. That was officers' country. We used to talk about past Christmases when we were kids growing up, and when we were adults, and of course when we had a family. At that point, I was a single fellow. But it was kind of interesting about the backgrounds from all of these people that were in that boat with me. You know, like some of them from the areas like Tennessee and Kentucky. They talked about having, instead of a Christmas ham or a turkey or even a roast beef, they had something that they would hunt in the woods, which was kind of interesting. One time when we were deployed in the Mediterranean, that was in 1969, I sat in a telephone booth. I sat in a telephone booth for 3.5 days to talk to my family back home. And that phone call, I had to call collect. So I told my dad, I said, "Don't worry. I was told here," we were in Piraeus, Greece at the time, that I told my dad, "I don't think they'll charge you for this because they didn't ask me for a phone number." So we talked for maybe about 20 minutes. I got to talk to my parents, my sister, and her husband, who was my closest friend since the 6th grade. And when we got back to New London, of course, I had the opportunity to go home. And my father, I said hello, I gave him a hug, I said hi to my mom. And my dad handed me a piece of paper. And I said, "What's this?" He said, "The phone call that you called from Greece was charged to my number. This is what you owe me." So we talked for maybe 11 or 12 minutes, if I recall correctly. Excuse me. Cost my dad $300. So I had to pay him back $300.
Go figure, before those days of Skype and now, being able to use WhatsApp and all that how much that would cost, or Zoom. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, the other interesting thing, you mentioned Christmas. My family is spread out all over the country. I mailed out 7 Christmas boxes. My Christmas shopping is done. And for Christmas this year, I wrapped 94 presents, including stocking stuffers.
Oh
And
my
when I mailed
goodness. You are a machine.
Well, my grandmother, when I was a kid growing up, owned a ladies' dress shop. And after school, we used to sitting there in the back of the store because both my mom and dad were working, and my grandmother taught us how to wrap, so boxes and stuff. So it's a nice time for me because I remember those times with my grandmother and and other family members, and being together and watching people trying to rip open the packages that I had so greatly sealed, so to speak. But yeah, those 7 boxes, getting back to that, I had to send out UPS to ensure that they would get there prior to Christmas. Those 7 boxes, Neil, cost me $382 to mail UPS.
Oh my goodness.
So in addition to buying all of this stuff, I lost another $382. But that's all right because it's Christmas, you know.
Right.
My grandkids and my nieces and nephews are pretty young, and I like to talk to them about Christmas. And usually, when I'm with them, what I'll do is I have a Santa suit, and I'll get dressed up, and I'll take a pillowcase and I'll fill it with stuff, and at the top I'll have a fake Christmas present so that they can see it at the top of the pillow, and I'll just walk around the yard, and usually their faces and noses are pasted to the window with the sliding glass doors. And they go, "Oh, look, it's Santa Claus. It's Santa. Mommy, Santa." So it's a memorable time. And now back to the military. Even at Christmas time, if we were in port, some of the crew had to remain on board. And there was always a topside watch and a below decks watch. So at least 15 people never got home for the holiday. But once they were relieved, they were able to get home either locally or to put in a leave request and go home across the country for a few days. So that part was good. It was one Christmas we spent underwater trying to keep away from the bad guys.
How was that? I mean, I know you can't bring up a lot of that, but how was that to be thinking about your life and dealing with things when it's Christmas and your family's not with you?
Yeah, it's when I was single, especially when I talked to you about the phone call from Greece. Even though I was with shipmates and we were all in the same boat, so to speak, that's a pun. It was when I was alone. It was somewhat of a sad time because the memories from family. I came from, when I was a kid growing up, a very large family, and we always got together for Christmas. And on the day before Christmas, my grandmother, we would always be at my grandmother's. My grandmother would take sheets and cover the living room furniture, and the ladies would be all together, and there were 5 of them, and they would make Christmas dinner. And one of the first things that we ate on most Christmases was, on Christmas Eve we had bacala, that's salted codfish,
Okay.
in itself, and that's all you ate for Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day, first entree on the table. And on Saturday, like I mentioned before, the ladies would make ravioli. And my grandmother and the ladies would flour the sheets that were over the living room furniture. And they would be putting all of these ravioli on the sheets. They were uncooked, of course. And then on Christmas morning, they would start cooking. And then there'd be, if we were having ham, there'd be like 2 or 3 hams. And most of our family on Christmas Day was anywhere between 24 people to 36 people. Now, I have a close friend who's a Sergeant Major Marine Corps that I met in New Hampshire when I went to the reserve side and I was working as a nuclear chemist up there. He was Sergeant Major Marine Corps, and he broke my record this year. He had 42 people, all family, at his house for Thanksgiving, as an example. And the same 42 people are going to be there Christmas. And they didn't put sheets on. They're traditional Irish people, Irish background. And when he showed us the picture, I couldn't believe they stuffed so many people into that dining room and into the living room. And that's the other thing I'll mention. When we would have dinner at my grandmother's, the dining room table would come out of the dining room, go into the living room, and then into the family room. So it was like a U-shaped sets of tables so that everybody could sit at the table. And one of the traditions that I'm very fond of and that I remember, after the meal, the ladies would be cleaning up, and the men would break the tables down, and we play an Italian card game called Briscola, and that in English means trump. And we used to play. It was a 4-person game, and there were no eights, nines, or tens in the deck. And we used to play. And my brother-in-law and I, who I knew since the 6th grade, and he married my sister, enjoyed playing my grandfather and my brother-in-law's grandfather in the Italian game. We would swear that they would cheat because they would win most of the games, but they had some sort of signal system, but we never picked it up. And so I asked, the sergeant major was Marty Mahoney, and I said, how many of those guys are family? He goes, all of them. I laughed. One of the things when I'll remember after I got my degree and I took the commission in the Coast Guard and then went on active duty, wherever I was stationed for Halloween, my wife and I would have a Halloween party. You have to remember, even at shore stations, there's a watch that doesn't have the opportunity to get home. So Halloween, I would have a party for the entire unit. And then for Thanksgiving, I'd have the duty section come to my house for dinner. And for Christmas, they would come to my house for dinner as well. So at least they had some form of Christmas. And the reason I did that was not only to take care of my people, but I remember what it was like to be alone for a holiday and in the military. So I deliberately went out of my way with my wife's support to have those people at my house for Christmas dinner and to enjoy the music and enjoy each other's company rather than sitting in a duty room waiting for something to happen. And most occasions that nothing happened. Even today, through the Catholic church that we belong to, we do things through the church to ensure that single people or senior people who are alone don't have the opportunity to be alone. We try to accommodate them, and I think that it's you can say it's noteworthy, but it really isn't. It's just helping people and being with people and providing them with memories that we hope that they will never forget, because I've never forgotten the fact that I was alone a few of those Christmases while I was in the military.
No, absolutely. Let's talk about the people you work with that, in the church and stuff like that. How difficult it is for veterans during this time sometimes because of family members or potentially being divorced or all the different transitions that they go through.
Well, there are certain groups in the Catholic Church here. There's a ladies group that gets together, and it's married and single ladies, and they sort of watch out for each other. My wife belongs to that group. For the guys that are in the military, we find a way to get them a meal if they don't want to get together. There's always a meal in the parish hall here at the church around Christmas time to celebrate Christmas. And there are Christmas carols and they're singing and what some of us do, we bring Christmas presents and put it underneath the tree in the parish hall. The other thing we do here that I think is noteworthy for the church, in the back of the church, it's called the narthex. There's a Christmas tree, and on the Christmas tree there are notes. And every Christmas we would take a note before everybody else took notes, and the tree would become empty. It would say 10 to 12-year-old boy, 10 to 12-year-old girl, and on that card it would be things that they would like to have for Christmas. So what we do, the families in this parish, we buy what's on the card, and then all of those things get placed back underneath the tree. Christmas Eve, all of those packages are delivered to the families who are not able to give those children Christmas presents. So that part of it is I think is extremely important for children. Military people, most of the guys that I affiliate with here in this parish have families, and because whether they're single or they're married, they usually will travel because they're not attached to a unit that requires them to be on base or on a ship or under the water. They go home for holidays if they have family. If they don't, what we try to do here is make sure through other organizations like the Knights of Columbus, we have a group of what I will say, I'll call them counselors, but they're men and women who have been trained in working with people who are distressed because they've lost somebody over the year and they're not there for Christmas. So it's a rewarding feeling, and it's a feeling of accomplishment and a feeling of not only faith but charity, and the fact that you get to meet people through the holidays that you've never met before, and you have the opportunity to establish long-term ties with these people. And in today's world, I really believe that we're fragmented more than ever before, and having these kinds of activities and willing to give a little bit of yourself to not only the people that were ex-military or in the military and can't get home, and people who are single parents or can't afford Christmas presents for their children. It's an important part to do that. So,
Definitely. All right. Well, it's perfect. Best place people can go is jlensciutoauthor.com. Purchase books. Appreciate it, Jay. It was a great conversation, Len, and I really enjoyed it. And we'll talk soon. Okay.
Yes, God bless you. And for those of you that I may not be listening in the future, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I hope everybody has the opportunity to be with someone that you care for the holiday and create memories for the future. Take care and God bless.
All right. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.